All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about one of the first big hurdles for any new musician. Those weird, swirly symbols at the start of every piece of sheet music. Why are there so many different clefs, and do we really need all of them? Okay, let's get into it.
I'm guessing this feels familiar. If you've ever tried to learn an instrument, you know this feeling. You finally get comfortable reading one clef, maybe for your trumpet or violin, and then you decide, hey, I'm going to learn piano. And bam, you have to learn a whole other way of reading. It can be, as one musician put it, super painful.
And yet, when you look at a full orchestral score like this, it's like you're trying to crack some kind of secret code, right? It just looks impossible. But I promise you, stick with me, because by the end of this, not only is this going to make perfect sense, you're actually going to appreciate why it's so smart.
So what's the deal? Are these symbols just designed to make music harder to learn, a secret handshake for musicians, or is there something way more clever going on here? Okay, so here is the big twist right up front. Clefs are not the problem. Not at all. They are actually the solution to a much, much bigger, messier problem. And to get that, we just need to cover a couple of basics first.
To see how this all works, we first need to understand the canvas that music is written on.
This is the musical staff. You've seen it a million times. 5 lines, 4 spaces. Now, the best way to think about this is, it's a graph. Seriously, moving from left to right, that's time. And moving up and down, that's pitch. Simple. But how high or low are we talking? That's the missing piece of information. And that is where the clef comes in. A clef is a symbol you put at the very beginning of the staff, and it is the essential key that unlocks the whole thing. It gives you a reference point. It tells you, okay, this line is this specific note. Without a clef, those 5 lines are totally meaningless.
Which, of course, brings us right back to our big question. If a clef just sets the key for the staff, why in the world do we need so many different kinds? The aha moment is coming right up.
To understand the solution, you first have to meet the real villain of this story, ledger lines. See, when a note is too high or too low to fit on those 5 lines, we have to add these little extra lines, these ledger lines. Now, 1 or 2, that's fine, but it gets crazy fast.
As one commenter on Reddit put it perfectly, once you get to 4 or 5 of those little lines, your brain just can't process it instantly. And for a musician who has to read and play in real time, well, that's a huge problem. It makes the music practically unreadable.
And this, right here, this is it. This is the entire reason different clefs exist. Look at the left, a simple bass line, written in the bass clef. It's clean, it's tidy, easy to read. Now look at the right. That is the exact same music, but it's forced into the treble clef. It's a nightmare. It's a confusing, unreadable mess of ledger lines. Clefs exist to keep the notes for an instrument comfortably on the staff. That's their job.
And the most beautiful example of this system in action is the grand staff, which you use for piano music. It combines 2 clefs, the treble and the bass, to cover this huge range of notes. And you see that note right there in the middle C? It acts as this perfect little bridge, connecting the 2 staves together into one giant, seamless superstaff. It's so elegant.
So, now that we know why we have them, let's do a quick meet and greet with the main characters you're going to see out there in the wild.
These are the 2 rock stars, the ones you'll see 99% of the time. On the left, you've got the treble clef, for all the high-pitched instruments. Think flute, violin, or the right hand on the piano. And on the right, you've got the bass clef, for the low-pitched crew. The cello, the tuba, the left hand on the piano.
Now what's really cool is that the secret is hiding in plain sight. The treble clef is also called the G clef. Why? Because the symbol itself is basically a super fancy, old-timey letter G. And notice how that big curl in the middle wraps perfectly around the second line from the bottom? It's literally pointing at it, telling you, hey, this line right here, this is G.
And to remember the rest of the notes, musicians have been using the same little tricks for generations. For the notes on the lines, we say, every good boy does fine. And for the notes in the spaces, well, that one's easy. It just spells face.
The bass clef plays the exact same game. It's also known as the F clef. And if you look close, you can kind of see how it used to be a letter F. Those 2 little dots on the side, They are hugging the fourth line from the bottom, basically shouting, "This line is F."
And of course, it has its own mnemonics. For the lines, a popular one is "Good boys do fine always," and for the spaces, "All cows eat grass." Yeah, they're a little goofy, but you know what? They absolutely work.
Now, there are a few other, more specialized clefs out there, like these C clefs. You can think of them as tools for specialists. They're mostly used for instruments like the viola, whose range sits in this kind of awkward spot right between the treble and bass clefs. The middle of that C clef always points to middle C, which keeps the viola's music nice and tidy on the staff and avoids, you guessed it, a bunch of ledger lines.
So this isn't just about knowing some interesting trivia. Understanding the system is what leads to fluency. The real question is, how do you get this stuff so locked into your brain that you don't even have to think about it?
Well, first, really drill those mnemonics until they're automatic. Second, use the amazing free tools online. A site like musictheory.net has exercises that let you just drill note names over and over. It's like flashcards. And third, and this is a huge tip from pretty much every music teacher ever, resist the urge to write the letter names on your sheet music. It feels like a shortcut, but it actually becomes a crutch that will slow you way down in the long run.
So in the end, what looks like a complication is actually this incredibly elegant system for organizing sound. Clefs are the tool that turns what could be a total mess of lines and dots into a clear, concise, and universal language that musicians all over the planet can read and understand.
So the clef isn't a roadblock. It's not a complication. It is the key. It's the key that opens the door to this incredible, universal language that people have been sharing for centuries. The only question left is, what music are you going to unlock with it? Thanks for joining us.